Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Friday, September 25th. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined with the one and only Mr. Andrew Hansen. How are you, Mr. Andrew? And congratulations on your solid basketball core build. Awesome job.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, great on both sites. Terrific night for us. A lot of fun with our members because the GPP lineup that we gave out on FanDuel was in first place in the last minute, and then AD hit a couple free throws, and then we got bumped down a little bit. But it was a fun sweat, close to a takedown, and that's what we're aiming for every time we lace it up and build a lineup. And you and I were chuckling, and it's kind of funny because during that podcast last night, we were really grinding with the pricing and
Yeah.
trying to work things out, but we kept at it. And then we got the Howard news. So we shifted things a little bit there. And it really turned out well.
It really did. And it goes to show you, sometimes the slate, it doesn't hit you right in the nose. You got to dig in for a while to figure it out. But we talked it through and, eventually ground out and waited for that. It definitely helped to get that Howard news because that solidified some of those lineups. But it was fun. Everybody in the Discord was having a blast, sweating it out. We were all, even though 9 million people were going to split, it's still, to try to take it down is a blast. But I'll tell you, I want to bring it up just super quickly before we dive into the game. As we get into the playoffs more and more here, with the final series coming up in NBA, and then we're going to get some of this in MLB as the playoffs start dwindling too. You don't always have to play just the showdown slates. Most of DraftKings and Yahoo especially will all offer a 2-game slate over 2 days or whatever the case is. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of value to be had. People are not used to that, so that you're not getting quite as much play in it, and you're getting some overlay. I was in, I got a $100 winner from yours and Shane's picks on the 2-game NFL slate that finished. Even though I had a couple snowflakes on there on DraftKings, it's still cashed. So I wanted to bring that up because, start searching for those and playing them. FanDuel doesn't offer them, but DraftKings and Yahoo do. And like I say, you're either going to get overlay or, you can win without having to have the perfect lineup. And, I'm going to always be preaching, play those cash games because, that's what made me the money tonight again on DraftKings and FanDuel. But, on FanDuel, you have to sweat your brains out to turn whatever, $40 into $80 as opposed to just, knocking out some good cash head-to-heads or 3 and 5 man. So I just wanted to mix that in there. And, just because we don't talk about those direct builds, hopefully you take away what we're giving you here in the podcast and then jump in Discord, put that stuff together and come up with some of those builds. So I know we were talking about it before the show, and we're both going to really try to concentrate on that as well, because I think I really do think it's a smart value play just to play it that way.
And they're fun. I enjoy them. I used to do them a lot more in NFL on DraftKings. I'm going to do them more, and we have been giving out some 2-game lineups to our members. The player advice when we're talking about games on multiple nights. And the fun thing is, if you nail the first night with whatever guys you have in the lineup, it's a fun sweat because you get to anticipate that next game, and you can think about, if these guys go off, the rest of my lineup, I can take this down.
No doubt about it. So just more options, and we're giving you everything. I mean, I lost track of how much stuff I posted in Discord today as far as lineups.
Yeah.
You were at a playoff softball game. You want to give us the rundown on the switch hitting Mr. Andrew Hansen's playoff softball game?
Oh, well, softball, I just stick to lefty.
Oh, you do, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Lefty first baseman. So don't mess around there. But a lot of fun. Yeah, we won by 9. Our manager got ejected. We won't go into that. There may be an appeal filed. So hopefully he won't have to miss the next playoff game because this is double elimination. We got to win on Sunday. But yeah, a lot of fun. And then to come back and have that sweat with the members in the Lakers Nuggets game. Great day.
Well, nice win, but it was interesting because, again, with the 2-game slates, especially, I was posting all the NBA stuff and the 2-gamers too, and then the 3 sites with DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo. And then we had baseball, all the basketball, the baseball, and then Shane was getting the football all up there for us. It was like just, scatter shots, just constant lineups going up on Discord. It was a blast. But hey, everybody's playing stuff, and it's funny, everybody's posting even PGA stuff because we got off to just a phenomenal start there with some of our guys. I have $20 on Sepp Straka to win this tournament. I can't imagine there's many of us in the world that have Sepp Straka. So
7 under in the first round. That's how you do it. Good
Even
start.
If he doesn't win it, I feel like I won just by having him in the lead. But I did mention it on the podcast. So I hope whoever listened, I know our PGA podcast does not get anywhere near the views as the basketball one, but start tuning in, man. You get stuff like Sepp Straka to win the tournament. 6,000 to 1 on our wonderful buddies at BetUS. So gotta listen in. But super stuff.
He was in our coach's clipboard. So I've got him in some lineups, and definitely pulling for him.
What a riot. Well, I want to also give one shout out before we go because I don't want to forget about it. Our man, Leighton Wilson, who is one of the key cornerstones of our Coach Talk team, do you know that he has, in our contest that we put out there, he has the Lakers versus the Heat in the finals and the Heat winning it. If he gets that, he'll have the perfect playoff bracket and not miss a single series throughout, which it hasn't been chalk. So monster shout out to Leighton, man.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a terrific bracket, but it's only 3-1. It's not over yet.
Denver's only come back 2 times in a row down 3-1, and I know you believe that still that the Celtics are better than the Heat. So hey, neither one is over. But I would put my money on Leighton right now because that looks pretty darn good. And that would be a fun finals, with LeBron against the old Heat team and his coach. That'd be a blast. All right. I want to quickly thank our presenting sponsor, the aforementioned BetUS.com.pa. They are the best wagering site in the industry. Been around over 25 years. I've been a member 13 years. Fantastic, quick payouts, all kinds of action on any sport, casino, horse racing, you name it, they've got it. And all you have to do is put in the promo code Coach Talk, all one word, no space, and you get 125% match on your first deposit. So if you want to put in 100, they're giving you 125 of free play to also give it a crack. And NFL, great stuff to bet on right now with, the NBA finals closing in. Major League Baseball playoffs start next week. So a lot of great wagers to be had there. So we love our buddies at BetUS. All right, we're going to get into this. We've got game number 5, the Miami Heat and Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are a 3.5-point favorite. So it's amazing. You've said it every time. They've been like a 2.5, 3.5 point favorite every game, and they're down 3-1. So that's interesting. The over/under hovering around the same at 213. So that's the line right now. I can see you playing the Celtics minus 160 on the money line. That sounds like an Andrew Hansen wager right there. The implied total, by the way, for Boston is 108.5, and Miami is 105. So this is going to be a good one. The question is, and I don't even have to ask, I'll answer it. Do you think Boston is going to win this one? Yeah, I do, Andrew says. So what's your build strategy, Mr. Celtics?
Yeah, I mean, it's 3-1, tough spot, but these guys are going to keep grinding. And the thing with Miami is Bam, his injury situation. He really looked limited at the very end. He was in pain, and Spoelstra has come out and said he's going to play. He's going to be fine. And I hope he is. I hope that he's healthy and these teams can, fight it out on the court.
I don't believe you. As a
No,
Celtics
I
fan
mean,
down deep, you're hoping he sits. Don't
it,
lie, Andrew.
it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but
You're
it
under
would be.
oath.
It's always better to win against the other team's best and say we gave our best, you had your best, and we came out on top. So,
You're right.
I like Bam. So I hope he's healthy. I hope he can go, and we can see which team comes out on top because I think Boston can really make it interesting if they just get one more here. As I talked about on the last podcast, I think Gordon Hayward is a difference maker. To have him back in the lineup, that's just an incredible lineup when they go those five stars without Tice. Kind of the newer version of Golden State's.
Small ball. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. So, I like the overall talent there for Boston, that depth in their top six in the rotation. And so, looking at the big picture, I do like Tatum again as a potential captain, as a potential MVP.
Yeah.
And then on DraftKings, I'm always looking at somebody who's cheaper to be a potential captain so you can get more studs in the lineup. And on this slate, obviously, Hero is an option because he just went berserk, and if he can do anything close to that, he's worth considering. But the guy who's a lot cheaper on this slate, where other guys have been priced up a little bit, is Gordon Hayward, and he's dipped down on both sites with his price, and I kind of like the build with him as captain on DraftKings, how you can fill out your lineup. So that's the overall approach from a big picture, is looking at Tatum as the MVP on FanDuel, and then Tatum or Hayward on DraftKings.
Yeah, I agree with you completely as far as the aspect of Hayward being pretty much the best value. He played 30 minutes in these last two games, exact 30 minutes, and is just, hitting a stride. 27 and 28 were his DFS points, but, it takes a while when you've been out to get in a groove. I mean, this is a perfect spot for him. They need him to step up. He's a clutch player. I think he's a terrific play. I mean, he's certainly going to make a lot of my lineups, but I'm with you. I mean, it sucks because in the showdown slate, there's a million people with the same lineups, and a million people are going to have Tatum as their captain. But if you watch that second half, it was ludicrous. I mean, he had 28 real points, for crying out loud. And just there are times where he's 100% unstoppable. He can hit a three, take it to the hoop, whatever he really wants to do. His talent level is just off the charts. So, price-wise, a lot of people are bunched up, in here close enough that, it makes sense to use Tatum in that role where he's more than likely going to be the guy to have the most DFS points. I mean, he's 1,200 more than Bam, 1,800 more than Butler on DraftKings. So, you are paying up a little bit, but again, he's averaging more DFS points than anybody. He had a terrible first half, which is super unusual, and still busted it in the last game. So it's hard to get away from him there. On FanDuel, it's even more lopsided. He's only 16K there, with Bam right behind him at 15.5 and Butler 14.5. So, I mean, to me, just to start off the conversation and not sound too confident, because last night we were backpedaling and didn't have a lot of confidence and crushed it. So I don't want to have overconfidence and not crush it. So I don't want to go that route either. But I do think Tatum on FanDuel for me is 100% capped and lock and load in whatever you're playing, cash, GPP, multiplier, whatever. It's just the most bang for your buck, the most sensible. It's the safest for cash. It probably needs to be there as the ceiling for GPPs. And then I agree with you. I think the bonus baby in here is Gordon Hayward. So we're exactly on the same path on the Boston side. Those are going to be the top two that I put in there. Is there anybody else from Boston that you're considering? For me, it's only Jaylen Brown is on my bubble right now, and that's it.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown is certainly a guy that I'm considering. His price did go up on DraftKings. It went down a little bit on FanDuel.
It did. He's 12.5, which
Yep.
fits beautiful.
Yep. Um, but the two guys that had their price reduced on DraftKings, other than Hayward, are Smart and Tice. And I like them at that lower price. So they're in consideration. Tice is solid. And the thing about Tice is he's been really steady with his fantasy points. But if Bam really is limited, I mean, what happens if he goes out or he plays a little bit less or it flares up? It's going to be a lot better situation for Tice. So we got to be ready to jump on it.
Well, let me take a stand on the Bam scenario.
Okay.
I read 3 or 4 different things. I dug in, did a little. I lived in Miami for a while and saw a bunch of Heat games. Heat's sort of my second favorite team, so I've pretty well connected with the beat writers on Twitter and such for the Heat.
Right.
Probably second to the Mavericks, but close. And I read multiple things. I'd say 6 or 7 things. I believe that he's going to be almost 100%. I don't think there's going to be any limitations. I think that he's fine. It's certainly not a lower extremity. I think he's going to get monster minutes. I think they want to put this series away because they know how dangerous Boston is. So for my builds and strategy and psyche going into this, I'm looking at a 100% Bam Adebayo as far as health. I'm not saying I'm 100% going to play him, but I just, for the listeners, in my opinion, you've got 100% Bam if you want to play him. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
And, in general, I think there's a good chance he will be fine because it is his left shoulder. He's not a big shooter, so he should be able to do most of what he's doing. Let's say he's 90%. But, I just remember that block he had against Tatum where he went up above the rim at the buzzer? That was with his left hand.
Left hand.
I don't think he could do that probably with anything less than 100% left arm, left shoulder, because that was such a phenomenal play. But isn't that funny how that works? That play may never have happened if he'd had this limitation before that meeting at the rim.
That was one of the greatest defensive plays I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it really was.
It really was.
So, yeah, I don't know if he could replicate that, unless he did put a real Superman cape on for that one. But yeah, I mean, the thing with Bam is he's extremely expensive. So you've got, that's the tough decision is, and I know what I've done and had success with, and I don't know how, but this is the way it's worked out for me is I haven't really played Bam and Butler that much. I have ridden this Dragic and Hero train because of the price savings and not had to do, the dumpster dive for the last guy or two on the team. So, it's hard to get away from that, but it's a closeout game. And, Butler is such a closeout player, it's hard not to consider him here, don't you think?
Who's that, Butler?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had his best game in the series, the last game. So, if he can kind of smell the finish and the series win, I could see him stepping up and playing well, especially if Bam is limited. One more reason for him to take over a little bit more, be a little bit more aggressive on offense and take a few more shots.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's a hard call because, if you look at the big shots in this series down the stretch, they've come from Hero and Dragic, not really Butler and Bam. Bam's been a monster in there, and Butler's 100% closer. I mean, but he's going to do it by taking the charge, getting the deflection, all the things you love as a coach and you love it to have a player on your team to do, but they don't all transfer into DFS points. So you've got to take that, into consideration as well. So, for me, from the Miami side to start that discussion, I mean, I don't know I don't know why Dragic has not gone up higher. I mean, he's lower now than Hero, for crying out loud. He's killed FanDuel, it every single game. He has killed it. Yeah, on FanDuel, he's 10-5 and Hero's 11. On DraftKings, Dragic is 12-3 and Hero is 11-7. So it's closer.
As a captain, yep.
As a captain. I always look at the captain role.
Right.
But my point being is, I think Dragic has been really the unsung hero in this entire series. So he's first on my list on the Miami side. I don't see why to sit him. I think that he's the key to their victory. They do attack Kemba a lot defensively because he's smaller and not as good defensively. I think that's been a big plus for Dragic, and I think that'll continue.
Yeah, I think Dragic is in consideration. The price savings from Butler are significant, especially on FanDuel. I mean, he's 4,000 cheaper than Butler on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Hero, we got to celebrate him here a little bit more. That performance was just outstanding. I mean, he looked like he was on the court by himself. He could just go wherever he wanted, and he was just weaving in and out of the Boston defense, and he would pull up and make every shot he took. Runners, bank shots,
it was amazing.
Wake up, sports bettors. Sports are in high gear at BetUS.com, so put down the beer and make every sporting event more exciting by putting stakes on the line at BetUS.com. Earn bragging rights over all your friends as you break in the cash from each week's betting action, but don't settle for any other book. Choose America's favorite sports book with over 25 trusted years in the industry. BetUS. BetUS has your game with action on football, baseball, basketball, MMA, golf, horse racing, and even esports. No other sports book is as welcoming to newcomers as BetUS with their jaw-dropping sign-up bonuses. Sign up today with promo code COACHTALK to enjoy 125% sign-up bonus up to $2,000, the best in the biz. Create an account to start making bets against the spread, future bets, props bets, entertainment bets, live bets, and more. No other sportsbook in the industry is as committed to their users as BetUS. So sign up now and get in on the winning side of the ball. BetUS.com.
How after he didn't play in the last game, everyone's going to be sour on him. No one's going to play him. But what happens if Bam is limited? Or what happens if it's a blowout one way or the other? Olynyk could actually get out there, and at his price, that could be the difference maker in a GPP. And then on the Boston side, Cantor was solid in 2 games ago. Then he didn't play, and it was a surprise. Robert Williams got the minutes, but we don't know what's going to happen in this game. Robert Williams could get back in there again. He's really cheap. 2.6 on DraftKings, and Cantor's even cheaper, 2.4. So I just want to mention those names for the folks who are looking to get really different on this one-game slate in a GPP.
It was a bizarre strategy, on a couple of guys with both coaches in this last game that shocked everybody. It wasn't announced. I triple checked everywhere to see if that strategy of who was going to play and who wasn't. Was stated anywhere, and it wasn't. And the second point is, I then triple checked again today on all these guys to see if they had some kind of nagging injury or whatever the case may be. They were all did not play coach's decision 100% healthy. So the fact that Kelly Olynyk and Kendrick Nunn didn't get into the game was shocking to me. And, the fact that Cantor had looked like they had found a really nice role for him as the backup center, and he was offensively very effective and on the boards very effective. The fact that he gets a did not play coach's decision, and all of a sudden Williams gets put back in there. Just, here's what I have to say about all that. You know me, I'm being a cash player and never wanting to take a zero no matter what. I don't want to play any of those guys unless I read somewhere that somebody says, quotes, not says, quotes Spoelstra saying, Kelly O's going to be in the rotation today. We're going to need his minutes to back up Bam, whatever the case with any of those guys that I mentioned. Unless I read that, I refuse to take that gamble that they're not going to come into the game. I think it's just too risky. And maybe, one of the press conferences or something leaks out of somebody, talking about a rotation or somebody. But I don't think you have to go there, Andrew.
No, you don't.
That's my point is there's enough value. If you really want to go lower, go with who is going to get 20 plus minutes in Daniel Tice, Duncan Robinson, Jay Crowder's still cheap enough. And, I'm not quite going to go the Iguodala route. I think this last game was his best game. I don't think he'll get quite those minutes. But, you can go to those other guys and still make the lineup unless we get news. Now, if you want to be on top of that news, no one's going to be scouring it more than me tomorrow. So check me out on Twitter throughout the day. You can catch any. So if there's any news to be found out regarding the rotation of the bench guys, specifically, Kelly O and Kendrick Nunn, and then on the Boston side with Cantor, Williams, however that's all going to work out, we will sniff it out. I'm going to be on that all day. And like I said, you can catch us on Twitter. But the best thing and the most efficient way to keep up to date on all that news is just to join us in our Discord and jump in as a member, even if it's for a week. Try us out. I think you'll love it. We have the best community out there. And we have a terrific fall special, actually, that is still going on for another week. You want to share with the listeners about the fall special?
Absolutely. It's a way to save on our monthly membership. It takes you through the end of the calendar year. And with all of our memberships, you get access to all of our sports. So NBA lineups, every slate, NFL lineups, every slate, Major League Baseball lineups 7 days a week, and the golf lineups once a week. Terrific way to save money on the membership, but get access to all of our sports. And that'll basically take you through the football season. So that's why we created the fall special. We'd love to have you. Just go to dfscoachtalk.com and you can become a member.
Absolutely. And we are hovering just over the 80% win mark in basketball. And I believe
football.
We've attained that in football as well. And I have not kept as close as far as the standings in baseball, but I can tell you that our three biggest winning nights, including a $16,000 night, was in MLB. So it has treated us very well. We're also hot now in PGA even. So we got it all going. We'd love to have you try us out, jump in, and we're having a real blast in there. I did want to mention, too, very important, if you're watching this right now on YouTube, please take a second, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. That is super important to us. We keep this, we have 11 pods right now, and it's going to go up, actually, per week that we are putting out there in front of the paywall. Really help, I believe, people build lineups. And, for our members as well, to take the lineups we're providing and the coach's clipboard and then listen to the podcast, been super effective. So, in order to continue to do that, we want to really grow this on YouTube. So subscribing, hitting that thumbs up, and hit the little alert bell there in the corner. That will give you exactly that, an alert every time one of our podcasts posts. And like now, it's, real late night or early morning, depending how you want to look at it. And this way, for those that work different shifts and such, you'll know when our podcast posts. So we would really love if you do that. If you happen to be listening to the audio podcast on Apple Podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, iHeart, Stitcher, anywhere where podcasts can be heard, we have a monthly drawing. There's 7 more days until that drawing. You get a 1-month free membership, and all you have to do to qualify is hit the 5 stars and a quick comment on iTunes, or simply follow us on Spotify, and you've qualified. We will have a randomizer choose that 1-month free membership. And, we're going to be giving some more of those away. We gave 3 away last month, and some of those members are just having a blast, and they wouldn't have probably been in there if they didn't have that opportunity. So definitely do that. We'd love to have you get in there. So let's do just a super quick review then on sort of the beginning of the build for both of us. And correct me if I'm wrong, so we're just talking this through a little bit. We both really want to build with Tatum. We both like Gordon Hayward from the Boston as probably our top 2 plays on that side. We've looked a little bit also as a potential either Jaylen Brown or Marcus Smart or Daniel Tice because of the pricing. And then as far as the Heat side goes, Before I speak to that, let me see what do you want to say as far as the Heat side, because I don't think we came to as strong of a conclusion there, other than the fact I love Dragic and Hero.
Yeah, well, Hero I still like, even though his price has gone up. So he's number one in terms of price. And by the way, when we're saying, Tatum and Hayward are top two plays on Boston, we're not saying that Hayward's going to be second in fantasy points. We're just saying the value given his
Correct.
price.
Right.
So again, the value given their prices on Miami. Hero is in the lead for me. So I probably will select him over Dragic, but I do like Goran. I would consider him. And then Bam, unless I hear something negative about his health, I will still be on Bam, probably in my primary lineups, which means I probably won't be on Butler. And then maybe in my secondary lineup, I'll look at a guy like Jay Crowder, whose price also went down on DraftKings. And then after that, it's more pure GPP, maybe a lineup with Iguodala. But as you were sort of describing earlier, I don't think you need to go there, even in a GPP, but you can. So he would be the first guy I would look at of all those cheaper folks off the Miami bench.
Yeah, and that's a good summation. For me, if I go with Butler, that means I'm not going to be able to play Jaylen Brown in the other game. So it's going to be an either or. Those are the two guys that are fighting for my key spot right now. I just can't go away from the Hero Dragic duo. I mean, Boston hasn't proven that they can slow those two guys down. So, why not go back to them? The one other guy I wanted to mention for Miami that I think is a good value still is getting big minutes. He didn't get them as much down the stretch this last game for the first time, so that is a bit of a concern. But he has most of the series, and that's Jay Crowder. He's been consistent. His minutes have been consistent, and his price is maintained decent. So, you can go there. 30 minutes the last game, 32, 36, 39, 32, 30, 34, 35, 34. How's that for a run of games where he's getting minutes? So at that price, you got to look at him. Now that, like I say, this last game was an anomaly. It was only 14.1. Every other game before that, of all that I listed, I could go back through those 29, 35, 36, 30, 30, 32. So his consistency on minutes and performance is fantastic. And to me, he remains a very, very solid option, and one that I can see myself going to try to keep that balance of Boston-Miami build. So
I agree. Well said there on Jay Crowder. All
right. I think that is about it. The big question again, don't play too many GPPs. It's hard. Everybody's got the same lineups. Mix it in with a good amount of cash, multipliers. You can make a lot of money in those for sure, and much more stable, much more consistent, very sustainable long term. So as you're building those, remember the big thing on FanDuel, you've got the 3-tiered step down. Right now, obviously, we're leaning towards Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum in that captain spot. Especially on DraftKings and the 2X on FanDuel. But as Andrew said, we never just give you chalk or the best plays or tell you to play all the most expensive guys. We realize the realistic reason why, most of you listen to us is because we try to be real with it and say, here's how you can build a lineup. You got to make some sacrifices in some places in order to make it work, and then just maximizing everything that you put there. So I don't think you can go wrong if you have Tatum up towards the top, and then just go through the rest of the stuff we talked about, and that should give you plenty of options to look at from there. I do again want to take a brief moment here to get a quick word from our sponsors at BetUS.com.pa.
Wake up, sports bettors. Sports are in high gear at BetUS.com, so put down the beer and make every sporting event more exciting by putting stakes on the line at BetUS. Earn bragging rights over your friends as you rake in the cash from each week's betting action. But don't settle for any other book. Choose America's favorite sportsbook with over 25 trusted years in the industry, BetUS. You need a sportsbook with integrity and longevity, but more importantly, you need a sportsbook that pays. BetUS has your game with action on football, baseball, basketball, MMA, golf, horse racing, and even esports. No other sportsbook welcomes newcomers like BetUS with their jaw-dropping sign-up bonuses. Sign up now with promo code CoachTalk for 125% sign-up bonus up to $2,000. The best in the biz. Now you have the best book in the business with the best DFS provider in the business, Coach Talk. Create your account to make point spread bets, futures bets, prop bets, entertainment bets, live bets, and more. No other sportsbook is as committed to their members as BetUS. Sign up now and get in on the winning side of the ball.
All right, thank you for at BetUS. How about that new commercial? How awesome are our partners there? You know, they're the top sports book, the biggest in the country, and they're calling us out as the best DFS provider in the country. How sweet is that?
It's a perfect marriage. I love it.
I love it, man. So we love our partnership there. Definitely sign up, betus.com.pa. Use that promo code CoachTalk. All one word, no space, as the man said. I don't have that tough voice like that guy, but you still get the 125%.
That's right.
But we love that guy, by the way. He's our man. All right, that is about it, man. We're wrapping it up. Again, the one gamer. You can play the 2-game. Don't forget, if you want to use the stuff we discussed today, you don't even have to lock in the other plays. You can just put, dummy guys in there. Let this first game play out, and then we can fill it in, as we go over the next game. So, build it from there, however you got to do it. Catch us on YouTube at DFS Coach Talk, like we said. Quick thumbs up and subscribe. Instagram, DFS_Coach Talk. Certainly, you can go to our website anytime, get all our information, meet our wonderful Coach Talk team on there. That's dfscoachtalk.com. Our charity of choice here is also mambaon3.org. That's MAMBAONTHREE.org. Fantastic charity set up by the Bryant family. That is it, my man. Any final words for our wonderful listeners here?
Well, I do want to just finish a point you started there about how we try to be real with the listeners, the viewers, and give you an actual strategy. And there's really no better example of that than the podcast yesterday when we were breaking down DraftKings and talking about using either Murray as a captain or Jeremy Grant, or going cheaper and using Torrey Craig. And we ended up settling on Torrey Craig. We advised our members to use him as the captain, and it really paid off. That was a winning build across the board in GPPs and cash. So that's what we try to do. We give you those real options and then try to select the best one for our members. So, let's just keep rolling along here with the bubble and take advantage of as many of these opportunities as we have.
Absolutely. And again, the whole idea of that, it's not because we thought Torrey Craig was going to be the highest scorer on the slate. No. It's that it allowed us to stack in our studs, in LeBron Davis and the Joker or Murray. We had those combinations in there.
And then we still had Rondo and Howard. You could still get Howard in there. Yeah.
Yes, Dwight was awesome, although he didn't get to play much of the second half. Bizarre. All right, fantastic. We are excited about it. We've got a huge weekend coming up. So enjoy the PGA during the day tomorrow. Hopefully our guys can stay up there. The Sepp Straka fan club, I am a card-carrying member. And, then we'll certainly have more basketball for you tomorrow. And baseball, big card as baseball's wrapping up. And then, football this weekend. So we can't wait. So we'd love to have you join us. We appreciate you taking this time with us to listen to this wonderful Boston-Miami Game 5. It is going to be a blast. So enjoy it. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will be back with you again tomorrow as we look to crush it in DFS.